Everything was alive with wind and color. Bara took a deep breath. The air smelled of trees, damp but fresh. A falling leaf settled on her shoulder and worries fled. She paused long enough to wrap her scarf around her neck and then made her way across St. Cat's wooded lawn. Windfall was surrounded by a forest on 3 sides, with the ocean not far off on the 4th, and it wasn't hard to see how the town had gotten its name. As Bara turned onto Windfall Boulevard, leaves fell as thick as snow on a winter day. The oaks that lined the streets were hundreds of years old. Rather than reaching for sunlight, lower branches had grown earthward, and now selfless limbs braced the ancient giants against toppling under their own weight. You could travel from St. Cat and follow the boulevard to Library Square, the heart of the town. Several streets fed off the square. Maple Avenue ran north and would take you past a middle-class neighborhood. The home Bara sometimes shared with her mother was at the end of the avenue in the Garden District. Anything but middle class, the Garden District had some of the largest homes in North America. Continuing straight through Library Square along the east end of the boulevard, you'd pass through a heavily wooded park, a forest really, and then finally the Grand Oaks District where her father and his new wife Courtney lived. South of the square was the Business District, and further south the rundown area known as the Tracks. This was where Amy's family lived. But Amy attended St. Cat on scholarship, so most of the time she roomed with Bara on campus. Before reaching Library Square, Bara veered off Windfall Boulevard and cut across a small park with a fountain. A shortcut. A chestnut fell from the sky and collided with her foot. She watched it skid to a stop at the base of its parent tree. Just then her coat pocket vibrated. She stopped under the shade of the tree and took out her phone. Colin had sent a text. "Help! They're either trying to poison or starve us. Save me! Send food!" Colin was forever complaining about the meals at St. X. Day-old cat food, he called it, spiced with kitty litter. He didn't kid. Bara often took pity and brought him treats from St. Cat's dining hall. "I'll see what I can do," she texted back and continued on her way. Bara left the park and crossed Main Mall. Rounding a corner, she found the south entrance to Windfall Way. It was one of the town's original streets. It wasn't much wider than a single lane of traffic, which 400 years ago served just fine for horse and carriage. But today's large SUVs would have taken out the potted plants and store signs hanging out into the road, so now it was pedestrians only. Antique and curio shops dominated the lane. There was also 2 restaurants, French and Italian, a flower shop, a bakery, and the Tragic Sip Cafe, where without a doubt they served the best coffee on the planet. Windfall stopped an inch past way too much when it came to decorating for seasons and holidays. Along the lane, every window was filled with strings of fall leaves and pumpkins. There were even a few black cats, skeletons, and other leftover Halloween ornaments. Bara smiled at the festive air and made her way down the cobbles. The Goths had beaten her to the Tragic Sip. They occupied 2 tables. For these girls, Halloween never ended, but under the bright sunlight, even their deathly white faces glowed an almost healthy, if unnatural, pink. They were all but quivering with excitement, not the usual state of being for this gloomy group. Taking no notice of Bara as she passed, they spoke excitedly. "He's so gorgeous." Drusilla, not the name her mother gave her, Barnaby, drawled. Vixen Rose, born Vivian Rothby, returned. "I saw him first." "Finally a guy worth even thinking about in this stupid town," said a purple-haired girl Bara didn't know. She must have been in the grade below. "One thing for sure," Drusilla chimed, "we're all going to need a lot more coffee." "Oh, I want a little more than coffee from him," Vixen countered. "There must be a new barista." Bara was filled with curiosity. She could only imagine what kind of guy would get the goths all aflutter. Images of tattoos and rings hanging from each and every orifice came to mind. Well, she'd soon see Mr. Dreadfully Wonderful for herself. She headed for the cafe door and almost stopped in her tracks.